Chargers truther. Hopefully my connection is too bad today. I'm gonna get that fixed. But I'm here with Sharks Josh 95, my good friend. We go back. We went to high school together and even played football in high school for a few years. Had a great time. Happy to have you back on. Josh is Niner fan. We're both from the Bay Area, and he's also a Michigan fan. So yeah, thank you for on.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we did a show together last year discussing the state of the Chargers and comparing it to 49ers' current roster. So I had a good time with that last year. We had clearly a lot to talk about since we were both knowledgeable. And I hope with this one, I don't know if I expressed a lot of confidence last year. I hope to express a lot more confidence this year. And y'all?
Oh yeah. Big change for the Chargers. Obviously, we're getting Jim Harbaugh, new head coach. We got rid of our GM Tom Toledo and our head coach Brandon Staley. I always love having you on, but especially now because you have experience with Jim Harbaugh as a 49ers fan. He took you guys to multiple NFC Championship game and Super Bowl appearance, and then also you are a Michigan fan, and obviously he's been the coach there for a while. So let me just ask you, just the basic intro question. Why did you become a 49ers fan, and why did you become a Michigan fan?
All right. Yeah, this is definitely like a good question. I'll start off with Michigan. Because I mean, 49ers, you can guess, like I'm from the Bay Area. With Michigan, so my mom's from Ann Arbor originally, which is where University of Michigan is based off of, and she grew up there. And then her dad, my grandfather, he worked at the University of Michigan as a thoracic surgeon. So the Michigan Wolverines have been in our blood since I was a kid. And with my dad's side of the family also going to Berkeley, something my grandfather would always say to me when we would exchange like fax machine messages growing up is "Go Bears" and "Go Blue." So when I got into sports in 2003, that's when I really got myself into Michigan in particular, and that stuck for 21 years, and I finally got to see them win it all. So that was really cool after lots of years of falling short. My other team, though, the 49ers, they haven't exactly been able to finish the job, but I became a fan of them primarily because the Raiders left Oakland and they were the only team in the Bay Area. And I have a lot of love for the Bay Area also. So that with them being the Bay Area's team, I I really just grown fond of them over the years. And I know the Super Bowl losses sucked to Kansas City, but it made me realize, okay, I'm really starting to love this team. And if you're wondering, wait, what about 2011 to 2013? I mean, I've watched football. I know about all the teams. And with the 49ers being on TV every week, I was able to watch them very closely. We had friends get together to watch games a lot. So I kept an eye on the 49ers very closely back then, just like I did with Michigan in recent years.
Oh yeah. It goes without saying, Josh here, my friend Josh on the right side is a big football fan. This guy, I know that you're very successful in fantasy football and all that. You are very up to date with, very in tune or whatever with what's going on in the football world. So yeah, I just want to get into this by asking you, what your opinions of Jim Harbaugh as the coach of the 49ers for those 4 years that he was there for. What did you think about those years?
I remember when he got hired back in 2011 when we were juniors in high school. That was awesome. That was such big news. I remember there was debate between Miami and the 49ers to get him, and the 49ers pulled that off. And I had a feeling with his success from Stanford, that was going to be a great fit. He was going to find a way to eventually get them to become really good. I did not think it would happen as soon as 2011. And that was a weird year. Remember, that was a lockout year, no Hall of Fame game, pre-training camp, offseason got shortened by a little bit. They had no conditioning with the draft going on. So he started off at a disadvantage, and he committed to his quarterback, Alex Smith, believed in him. Although he got his quarterback of the future in Kaepernick that draft, he came in and he saw that this was a playoff-ready team based off the work from the previous GMs. It was Scott McLaughlin at first, and then it became Trent Baalke the same time Harbaugh came along. And then once that playoff-ready roster was formed, he fortified it further by getting Dante Whitner, drafting Aldon Smith. bringing in Carlos Rogers, really emphasized building up that secondary, that defense, in addition to just in general sticking with the offense. And he did build the trenches, which I know you were pushing for as a Charger fan for a little while. He got Jonathan Goodwin at center that year, and then he also made sure to give Adam Snyder, Alex Boone chances at right guard. So they had a playoff-ready team, but they didn't have the right coaching. And with his coaching, they maximized their potential right away.
Yeah, it seemed like he definitely had a big hand in how the roster was being constructed, more than just head coaching duties. What do you think? What do you think he prioritized most in the players he seeked out to help build the roster?
As 49ers coach, he definitely made sure to emphasize making life easier for the quarterbacks as much as possible. After the Super Bowl loss in 2012, he brought in Anquan Bolden. He also brought in Randy Moss in 2012 when the receiver depth was a little low. So, I mean, Randy Moss was past his prime, granted, but he was a good veteran option for that team at the time. And I'm trying to remember what happened in 2012, but oh yeah, when he tried, and then he also tried drafting AJ Jenkins, and I believe it was 2012, and then 2013 was Eric Reed, but obviously AJ Jenkins didn't pan out. That's why they had to get Anquan Bolden ultimately. But he just wanted a balanced team all the way around. He definitely made sure that the secondary got the help they needed. He really had full belief in the D line, and then yeah, and on offense, yeah, he basically maintained his offensive line because it was like Staley, Upati, Goodwin, and then also Anthony Davis at right side. So their O line was pretty damn good. And then also they had Delaney Walker too. They made sure to use two tight end sets. So really, his goal was to make life as easy as possible for the quarterback. And I thought he didn't really prioritize like one position or another. He's one of the best, most balanced team you can get.
Yeah, definitely. I always remember the 49ers as just being a very solid team. Got to address all aspects of the team. Everything matters in football, I believe. Can you see any similarities between the Chargers as we are now and the 49ers in 2011 when Harbaugh first came to the 49ers?
So I'm going to start off with some good news and bad news. Good news is your quarterback, Justin Herbert, way better than Alex Smith, Kaepernick ever was. So you're going to be in really good shape at quarterback. He's going to be very happy about that. I would make an argument that Herbert's probably the best quarterback he's potentially ever played with. I mean, yeah, I know he had luck at the college level, but when you think about luck at the NFL level, he didn't last that long. He was maybe top 5 at best, top 10. Herbert can absolutely eclipse those levels, and he can make a deep playoff run, potentially make the Super Bowl. So there's a chance that could be the best quarterback he's ever worked with. Bad news, you don't have your Frank Gore. You don't have your Blake Corum like you did at Michigan. I know you have Austin Eckler, but like you've been attesting to throughout the season, he's not necessarily a workhorse back. And they're going to be hard to get in free agency. I know you have some cap issues you got to work through. And then you could there are options in the draft, and I think that's what they're going to have to go because Greg Roman, he loves running the ball. He was successful with it with the 49ers. Frank Gore was successful. He was successful with it in Baltimore. You had a great running back tandem with, I know they had Ingram under his leadership. Mark Ingram was really good. And then Lamar obviously took off. Gus Edwards had his moments there. So so Greg Roman's always done a good job with running the ball, but they need a little more. They need someone else in LA to make that offense tick, and that's probably going to have to come through the draft if I had to guess right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely people may disagree with me, but I think running back is our top need and actually has been for a good 5 years. Got to have someone that's good enough to really fight for extra yards and make something out of nothing at that running back position in the run game. Of course, I think that's something very huge we need to address. Get Jim Harbaugh, his Frank Gore, maybe multiple Frank Gores or whatever. I think we do need to address that in the draft for sure. Okay, so all good things eventually come to an end. Why do you think Jim Harbaugh only lasted 4 years in San Francisco?
I have 2 words: Trent Baalke. That's it. Because they got hired together in 2011, then 2014, for whatever reason, they just had a rift. Something I noted, because I read a book recently about that era of the 49ers. And something that was mentioned was that Harbaugh and Balky would do press conferences together. But then in 2014, after that Seattle loss in the NFC title game, they stopped doing those press conferences. So unfortunately, that caused a rift. It was awkward in the locker room. That's why instead of making NFC title games, they didn't even make the playoffs in 2014. It just affected the locker room. And that year, Kaepernick, he did regress, had a little trouble reading past his first read that year. And I know they tried forcing Carlos Hyde to fit in. It just it didn't necessarily work out. He wasn't that change of pace to Frank Gore that they were looking for. So a lot of players were just getting older, worn out, tired, and there was some friction up top. Their owner didn't help, particularly siding with Trent Baalke. So there was just a lot of higher up and a little bit of dysfunction, and they cut ties after 2014. And I think we can all see that once he was gone, with the 3 years that followed, 4 seasons that followed, Harbaugh was far from the problem. It was actually the GM. So his ego, Trent Baalke, got in the way of the 49ers building off their successful 3-year run. And it fell because he would not act like an adult in that situation. So I blame Trent Baalke for why the 49ers fell short.
I could see that. Even the best teams, when you have some dysfunction going on in like the front office, in the locker room, whatever is going on, it can really just throw everything off, ruin everything. And as you were talking about Trent Baalke, the general manager, not acting right or whatever, that's how the Chargers have been with Tom Telesco, their 11th year GM. I know you've heard me complain about Tom Telesco. You can't it's just a bad GM with a bad attitude, kind of a loser attitude, is really going to hold every team back. I'm glad that guy's gone. And now it seems like Jim Harbaugh is going to have more power with the Chargers than he did with the 49ers. My last question is, do you think it was the right decision to let go of Harbaugh after those 4 years?
No. They should have let Trent Baalke go. Harbaugh should have stayed the coach as the 49ers. And if Harbaugh was still around, Patrick Willis wouldn't have retired. Chris Borland wouldn't have retired. Maybe not. Justin Smith might have stuck around a little longer. And, there was a mass exodus of players leaving the 49ers after that year. I know Crabtree, I think he was a free agent. He didn't get brought back. Vernon Davis got traded. So they were just very mismanaged. And there were a lot of players that retired. Like, if you can remember, do you remember an off season where so many people retired from the same team at once? That's when you knew they were not going to be properly run. So
yeah,
I should have definitely stuck around like a little longer. But I think with the damage done in the front office, he might have been let go a little sooner. But unfortunately, with the 49ers struggling a little bit after that, it did benefit the University of Michigan, because that year in 2014, they were struggling. They were led by a coach that was regressing every single year. I think, reducing their win total by 2 or so every year. They were just getting worse under his leadership, and they need to make a splash higher. Thankfully for them, Michigan got Jim Harbaugh in 2015, and with his success with the 49ers, turning around Stanford and also San Diego before Stanford, I made a declaration that in 3 to 5 years, Harbaugh was going to find a way to make Michigan national champion. Granted, I'll admit I was way late with the prediction, but I was right in that he is going to deliver one to Michigan, because I knew what he was capable of if they give him the time.
Yeah, definitely. Clearly, you know what you're talking about all this stuff. You were able to predict Harbaugh's championship. So moving on to Michigan, what do you think? What do you think he did to turn Michigan into champions? Like, what do you think his whole influence and all the stuff he did for Michigan to win the trophy? What do you think about that?
I would say that, it took him 6 seasons before it finally came to fruition, but he really invested in the trenches. He felt like he could work with a quarterback and play to their strengths. He did focus on the transfer portal a lot the first couple years, or first several years. So I remember 2015, they got transferred Jake Rudock, and they didn't look great in their season opener against Utah, but Rudolph eventually got together, figured it out. But thing is, he was a super senior at that point. So, like, he wasn't eligible to play another year. NCAA was a little more strict about those rules back then. So then Harbaugh had to start over. So the thing is, he started in 2015. So he could only do so much with recruiting at that point. He got Brandon Peters. I think he was a 5-star recruit, 4-star at the time. Really good prospect. He's played around 2017. Didn't necessarily work out because Michigan needed to be in win now. So he wasn't able to exactly get like his guy at quarterback for a little while. It didn't pan out right away, but something usually did a really good job at getting running backs. He did a good job in investing in the line. He just had a little bit of difficulty getting the passing game consistent, figured out, and being championship caliber. Defense has almost always had very talented players. That's what they've been well known for. You got that legacy with Charles Woodson. Then Jabril Peppers came in, had a decent career at Michigan. Now he's doing a heck of a job in the NFL. So he just focused on the trenches first and foremost. And the team did improve from 2015, 2016. He got someone at quarterback that was on the team, Wilton Spate. He basically they were in playoff contention at that point already in the second year with the guys that he had. Most of them might not have even been his guys at that point. So they barely lost to Iowa. That was a tough loss. And Ohio State, they were up by 10 against them. Fell short, but they were playing against the Zeke Ohio State team. Or was it actually? No, I take that back. Zeke was not on that team yet. He got drafted the year prior. But either way, Ohio State, they had a really good team, as they always did at that point. They were really tough. Yeah, really, really tough to take down. And that was the closest Michigan was to beating Ohio State, and the closest they were to making a playoff or a BCS game in a long time. So obviously hopes were up. But yeah, like his quarterback that he recruited wasn't ready yet. And in the backups, Spate, who played last year, he struggled to start that year. And then John O'Corn, absolutely horrible, just was not it for them. And then he went to the transfer portal, tried to get a quarterback from Ole Miss. Basically, same thing. Did a good job at the trenches. Always did a good job running the ball. Started with Davion Spiff, Karan Higdon, before recruiting guys like Hassan Haskins, who got 5 touchdowns in 2021 against Ohio State, and then eventually Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. So it was a process. It took some time because Michigan's recruiting was not top-notch under their previous coach, Brady Hoke, but they were able to figure it out. And I think you have to remember also, COVID really halted everything in 2020. So who knows how good they could have been under normal conditions. But yeah, we'll never know. And they turn around the next season. So I think for me, it was just the run game, trenches, defense, but it took some time to get his guys at quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned those things, the run game, trenches, and defense, literally the complete opposite of how the Chargers have been trying to do things. The Chargers have always been pass offense, and pass offense pretty much. And then maybe, get and then rush the passer. That's pretty much how the Chargers, that's all they know. Pass the ball, rush the passer, and then everything else just whatever, So it's no surprise at all why the Chargers have disappointed for so many years. Obviously you can't just rely on the pass game. Yeah, it's a passing league, but it's still football. It's still the same rules for that. So I'm very glad to hear you talk about these things, about Jim Harbaugh. And hopefully, I'm expecting that he's going to bring those things and those priorities to the Chargers and finally implement some tough football. So what do you think Harbaugh will do to the Chargers? What do you think he's going to be his first priority with the Chargers? What, second or all that? What do you think he's going to do with the Chargers?
Yeah. So first off, I think he already took care of his first priority, which is making sure he had a GM he could get along with, because he hired John Ortiz, I believe is his name, out of Baltimore. And who's at Baltimore? A key reason, John Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh's brother. So there is no way the Chargers hire Jim Harbaugh and hire that guy as GM, John Ortiz, without checking in with John Harbaugh and seeing if he would recommend him for a job of that nature. So they're going to have a good relationship to start, and I think so that's massive. You're going to have that head coach GM working relationship, and he learned from his mistakes in San Francisco. And you see Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch in San Francisco right now. You got a good head coach GM combo. I mean, you're still doing press conferences together, and you're doing everything you can to stay competitive the next season. So Harbaugh definitely took care of that for the Chargers first and foremost. And then so my guess for what he's going to do is he's probably going to keep the passing game as is. I like his options at wideout. He's still got some good calls. I know I'm not the most familiar with your cap situation, but I know there are some good free agent running backs out there. Saquon's out there, but I just don't know how much money they're going to invest until they take care of the cap. I think Harbaugh's going to find a way to invest in the right side of the O line. You're seeing a lot of O linemen get traded in the draft or in the trade for draft picks right now. Like Buffalo, Chicago made a trade earlier today. And so investing the right side of your O line, I think, is going to be a priority because Harbaugh had really good right guards and he also had a right tackle. So trenches are going to be something like he's going to try to instill, and something that he had at San Francisco, the linebacker combo of Willis and Bowman, and that helped out the defenses who followed his lead, or the defensive coordinators who followed Jim Harbaugh around. So I know you have Kenneth Murray at linebacker. I know Khalil Mack's on the outside, but and usually Harbaugh prefers 3-4 defenses. So I feel like you're gonna need to get some linebackers. I know you have Joey Bosa right now, but you're gonna need to invest, like linebackers, D tackles, just really building that front seven. And with the front seven established, then that helps out the secondary. So I think there's definitely a lot of needs, but from what I know of Harbaugh, he's probably gonna invest in the right side of the O line, get a running back to make life easier for his offense, and then once that's done, he'll get best player available for defense because, in my opinion, I feel like there are a lot of needs there that can be addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh wait, here we got some comments. Brian Stowe, go Chargers. And then look, we got Milan over here. What up, Milan? Yeah, good old Milan checking in on us. I think all that's great. I agree. Invest in the offensive line. Always a good idea. Like I've said forever, I'm really beating a dead horse till the horse isn't there anymore. Get the dang running backs, run the damn ball, and then continuously invest in the trenches, physicality, and all that. Do you think that there's any players that are coming out of college, maybe Michigan, that the Chargers may be targeting? Like, obviously, we know Blake Corum. I would like to get him. Some people complain about his knee or something, or he's 24, something like that. But I say sign the guy up if he's like a 4th-round pick or something like that, maybe 3rd. Go get the dude. Who cares? Run the dang ball like this year. Don't stop waiting 5 years in the future. We ain't living forever. And then also, I like the defensive tackle, Chris Jenkins. That dude looks like a beast. What do you think? Is there any Michigan players that maybe you see the Chargers targeting?
So there are some Michigan players that I want the 49ers to get. And I know with the Chargers, they have a pretty high draft pick. So I don't think they're going to pick a Michigan player with their first round pick. I think they potentially go Brock Bowers to really make things easier for Justin Herbert. I can see that. That would be a cool situation. But I think with the later round picks, he can definitely get some guys like Graham Barton out of Duke. He has experience at tackle, center, guard. He could be someone that helps out Harbaugh, especially with his ability to run the O line, call plays. He has experience with that. For Michigan, though, I like Zach Zinner a lot. The reason why I like Zach Zinner is because he was a part of an O line that was mauling and made life heck for Ohio State. because Ohio State was consistently a top 5 team. Michigan ran down their throats. It was Hassan Haskins in 2021, Donovan Edwards in 2022 when Corum got hurt. And then 2023, it was Blake Corum. Even though Zach Zinner went down, Corum still had a great game. So just to go back real quick regarding the knee concerns for Blake Corum, he was just fine last season. He stayed healthy. They didn't really have to use Donovan Edwards until the national championship game. I'm not concerned about his knee. I'm not concerned about his age. He's going to help out Harbaugh right now should he fall to them. So I like what Corum can bring. Trevor Keegan also is in the draft. He's also a guard for Michigan. He was also a starter on that Maulingo line that did dirty work against Alabama, Washington, Iowa, and Iowa had a really good defense, and Ohio State. So I would say with Trevor Keegan, he'd be more of a depth piece, but with the Chargers, they need depth. So you can absolutely get him in the mid to late rounds, and he would absolutely fill a need and be a great asset for you all. I really like Zach Zinner, though. If you get him in the mid rounds, that's going to make your O-line so much better. And now I'm looking at your secondary. I mean, the two names I recognize are Derwin James, Asante. I do remember hearing Michael Davis, but I know the defense was especially a struggle last year. So Combined, I recommend Mikey Sanger still. He got that pick six to seal the deal against Washington in the national championship, and he's also has wide receiver experience. So Harbaugh could really dial up some plays to, or Greg Roman, excuse me, could dial up some plays to get Mikey involved because he has that receiver experience in 2021. And I thought he did just fine there. He was he had some good plays, but he's a really clutch playmaker on defense. He broke up a big pass on second or third down against Ohio State in 2022, all the way in Columbus. And he primarily plays nickelback, though. But if you draft Mikey to be a nickelback in the second, third round, that's going to make your defense or your secondary a lot better. So, yeah, you can work in Michael Davis. I don't know where he is in his development, but having
he's a free agent. He's a free agent.
So we'll see.
Same with Kenneth Murray.
Okay, so yeah, we'll see if they bring those guys back. But I mean, you got Derwin. Having Derwin as a hard hitter will be helpful, but you need that playmaker to complement that. And I definitely think that Mikey can do just that from the slot.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Michigan's defense has been great, especially last year. A lot of playmakers and all that. Before I move on to one of my final points, actually, how many Michigan players do you think the Chargers are going to draft? Let's say I think we have like 7 or 8 picks. How many, 1, 2, or 3, or 0? How many do you think the Chargers are going to take just for fun?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a really good question. I want to point out just a couple things before I make that call. So I think of Pete Carroll when he went from USC to Seattle back in 2010. He could have drafted his safety Taylor Mays. Instead, he got Earl Thomas out Texas instead. And obviously, Earl Thomas was a better safety. So these coaches like Harbaugh, they're going to focus on who's a better player without the personal relationships. They're going to do that. It's going to happen. And even when Harbaugh was at 49ers back in 2011, he could have gotten Owen Marisick, the fullback that he used a lot in Stanford, and Toby Gerhart had some good plays with him around. But thing is, Harbaugh never got Owen, and I don't recall a Stanford player being brought in at his time of the 49ers. So I would say my prediction is 2, because I legitimately do think that there are some NFL caliber players from Michigan that can help the Chargers. I mean, Chris Jenkins could help with the interior, no doubt. I mentioned Mikey, Junior Colson, outside linebacker. I think he could be helpful, although I want the 49ers to get him with the Dre Greenlaw injury going on. So there are a lot of options that Harbaugh can roll with, but he's done the NFL before. He's helped lead successful teams in Ortiz. He's done a good job drafting in Baltimore. So, I mean, Harbaugh's going to have his input on select players. I think he'll get 2. There we go. Now we see it. Yeah, I think he'll get 2, but just because even that, if I had to guess, that would be a rarity because that's not something you really see too often. I know you had Cliff Kingsbury draft Kyler Murray for Arizona back in 2019. I know that was a thing, but overall, though, just don't expect too many Michigan players, but I do think it's a possibility.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, not even just for the fact that he was the coach of Michigan, just mainly for the fact that Michigan won the championship, has a great team, great offense, great defense, a lot of good players from Michigan coming into the draft. I would love to see, 1, 2, 3, whatever the number may be. I'd really like to see some Michigan players, as well as Alabama, all the good schools. You always love to see. I like seeing guys from big schools come to the Chargers. They know how to win. They've already been in winning organizations. They're used to winning. I want winners. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Slightly taking a detour. Another big thing with the Chargers, what we did this offseason was hire Jesse Minter as a defensive coordinator. He's never been an NFL defensive coordinator, although obviously Jim Harbaugh trusts him. Seems ran a great defense in Michigan. What do you think about this hire?
For Jesse Minter, y'all are gonna love him because Jim Harbaugh had Mike McDonald be the defensive coordinator in 2021, and then John Harbaugh plucked him, I believe, in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. So, and look at Mike McDonald now; he did a good enough job to where he would become the head coach of Seattle. So, uh, Harbaugh's proven that his defenses in college can translate to the NFL level. So that's why I'm so confident in Jesse Minter. I would say that the reason why Michigan won the national championship was because of Jesse Minter's defense this past season. Um, with his defense, his defense alone is considered one of the better ones in CFP history, maybe even including BCS. Because if you look at the statistics, they were near the top, and they did a really good job this go around being playoff ready. Because that was a critique I had last year against TCU in New Year's Eve 2022. They did not come ready to play. They were getting too cute. They learned from it, like Michigan learns every year. So Jesse Minter also went through that growing pain of allowing 51 points with his defense and then picking it up and having a defense good enough to win the national championship. So Jesse Minter he has my endorsement. He did a great job at Michigan. I would say don't expect immediate success. It's going to take time to build a winning team. I mean, you have a team that has not won a playoff game since 2018-19. So it's been a little while. I mean, then again, with the 49ers, also took them a little while. They also haven't won a playoff game in about 9 years, and they beat New Orleans with prime Drew Brees in a playoff game. So could they win a playoff game this year? Probably. But the thing with Harbaugh and Minter and just the Michigan staff, it's going to take time. They needed time at Michigan. They had a playoff ready roster in San Francisco. I don't know if they have a similar kind of roster in LA quite yet, particularly with their depth. So it will take time, but you will see results in 2025 at least. The defense will improve once Minter gets his guys, and the Chargers will be a force to be reckoned with. So I think he's going to be awesome. If you're a little hesitant about Minter, look at his stats from Michigan with their playoff winning defense. Look at what he did. Look at how he improved compared to the year before, especially in the college football playoff. You're going to be like, oh man, this guy can help develop players. This guy can help coach players and advance them to the next level. So I really do think he's going to do that. And I mean, yeah, with the Chargers, I didn't really fear their defense unless they played like bad teams like the Jets or the Colts when they had Nick Foles and Zach Wilson. But I
Yeah.
haven't feared the Chargers defense in a long time. And I think Minter has a really good shot to eventually get the Chargers to that point.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I don't think anybody really ever been scared of the Chargers except maybe their pass offense with Herbert. It's been a long time. Again, like Tom Telesco just left us with such a thin, weak roster. So definitely, this new, coaching staff and office is going to have a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. So yeah, definitely excited. Can't stress that enough. If you were to, give a few adjectives to describe Jesse Minter's defense, which words would you use?
ferocious, playmaking, shutdown, and clutch. Those
Dang.
are words
Yeah,
and the
that's
reason why I said ferocious was because I had some friends who would text me during Alabama, Michigan. That pass rush is for real. I say clutch because they stopped a 4th and goal for Alabama and they showed up on the college football's biggest stage against Washington. What were other words I said? Oh, playmaking because their defenses would get picks all the time. Clutch fumble recoveries, interceptions. They were really really good with that. And then they
Mhm.
said one more: ferocious, clutch, playmaking. Forget
Shut down.
what's that?
Shut down.
Shutdown. Yes. So that's when you look up the stats of Jesse Minter's defense. He was near the top. The points per game allowed were on the lower end. So no doubt that those are the four I would describe for Jesse Minter and his defenses. And it took time. You just have to be a little patient with him. Hope the GM brings in the right guys through the draft and free agency, and then you'll reap the rewards sooner than you think.
Yeah, that is literally music to my ears. That's exactly, the type of defense that I want, that probably everybody wants. I think everyone would really agree. Just really have not been able to. The Chargers have really not been able to get anywhere near those adjectives for like a decade or something like that. It's been so long. Yeah. So okay, then reaching my last questions here. Also, Greg Roman. This guy was the offensive coordinator with the 49ers when Harbaugh was there. What do you think about Greg Roman and his impact on the Chargers?
So they will definitely run the ball. They will probably it'll be a little bit of a fair balance because Herbert is a talented quarterback. Herbert's probably the best thrower he's had in his NFL career, at least under Harbaugh, because he had Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is reasonably expected to be the best thrower, so I think you might see a lot more balance. But Roman does love to run the ball. He does love to pound it down your throat. So I expect to see that with the Chargers. I know why people are like, wait a minute, he can run the ball. He likes to run the ball because you referenced a Super Bowl when he didn't give it to Frank Gore with 5 yards to go, even though they had 4 plays to do so. That's a different situation. We don't know what's going on with the play calling. I mean, even the Super Bowl this year, everyone kept saying, "Why didn't you give the ball to Christian McCaffrey?" When they gave up to Christian, he got blown up for a 3-4 yard loss. So there's a reason why coaches don't call plays all the time. But Roman will run the ball. He will set his offenses up for for success. And I would say that there's a good shot that um, he will have the best defense complemented because I know Vic Fangio led the defense. He was in his prime leading defenses, but Fangio didn't win a defense as a coordinator. Didn't win a championship, excuse me, as a defensive coordinator. Jesse Minter won at the college level, so he might have a championship winning defense with that potential complementing, in addition to really good quarterbacks. So you get that ground game address with the guys that he wants. It's going to be balanced. You're going to run the ball a good amount, and it'll be complemented by effective defensive play. So I think there's good potential for the hire to work out. It's just up to Ortiz to get Roman the running backs he needs to run his offense. And you have Eckler, and Eckler will be a good change of pace back for what Roman wants to do. He can fill that role because the 49ers had
He's a
Kendall
free
Hunter.
agent.
Oh, he's a
He's a
free
free
agent.
agent now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, if let's say they do bring him back somehow, he'd be better than Kendall Hunter in 2011. He'd be better than the Michael James in 2012. 2013, I forgot who they had. That like it was just Frank Gore predominantly that year, and then 2014 was Carlos Hyde. I mean, he'd be more dynamic than Carlos Hyde as the one
Mhm.
B to the starter. So Eckler, if they bring back Eckler and they draft someone like Blake Corum, that's a really lethal duo, and you
Mhm.
are especially going to be very happy with how they run the ball. So But yeah, oh, you're mentioning that few players were free agents. So
Hmm.
yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I mean, it might be too early to make predictions based on rosters, because roster movement's going to be happening a lot this month. But hopefully you know a little more about what gaps they still need to do for Harbaugh's teams to reach their full potential, and we're going to start finding out really soon with free agency starting next week, I believe. Drafts coming up next month, so movement's about to be had, and you're going to see Harbaugh molding the team in his image, and I'm hoping that there will be a lot of excitement heading to his season versus, how are they going to mess up now? And again, we had this conversation
Yeah.
last year. The depth was not there for the Chargers to be a good team, and I know they have 7, 8 draft picks. We'll see how they handle the cap, but they draft well. They find a way to fix the gap to bring in a free agent or two, and there should be okay, we might make the playoffs, and we'll see what happens at that point. You should have a little more excitement, but it's all about execution. So, for all I know, Harbaugh could be. I don't think he will be, but Harbaugh could be like past his prime. Roman especially could be past his prime. We don't know, but I
Hmm.
mean, I know what he's done with Michigan and the 49ers because I've seen him coach in my area for at least 13 years, or for a team I like for 13 years. So I know what he can do. I know what he's capable of. And I'm more confident than not that he will pull it off, but you got to get the players, you got to execute first and foremost.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think, obviously Rome wasn't built in a day. It's going to take a lot of moves. I keep talking about this, it's not about that first round pick. It's not really about just that first round pick. It's about all the picks, all the free agent signings, who you let go, who you bring in, all the way down to the 7th round pick, the undrafted free agents. It's going to obviously take everything, a succession, consecutive solid moves to form this roster that has so little depth, so little physicality, and it's been that way for so long. So big changes are definitely needed. Yeah, maybe Harbaugh getting a little older. I think he still has that fire in him. I think he's probably the right guy to lead this team. So, all right, we're about to wrap it up now. I guess there's 2 more comments. This guy tried to do like some kind of emoji through text. Trophy yellow smiling, and Charlie Sinclair, truther. What up, bro? Um, so, I mean, we'll wrap this up here, but my last question would be, what do you think the Chargers record will be in 2024? I know it's a hard question. There's moves have not yet happened, but if you were to just give a ballpark number, what do you think? And then I'll go next. Okay, no. Give me your prediction on the Chargers 2024 record and the 49ers record and how their season goes, and then I'll do mine.
Okay, so Chargers, I'm going to say, I'm assuming you're going to make the right moves. I'm going to say 12, not 12, sorry, 10-7 for you all. The reason why is because I think they're going to get Herbert the weapons and protection he needs, and Minter's coaching will help the defense be at minimum average. And I know with them being in fourth place, they'll have more of a last place schedule in the NFC, AFC, and I'm trying to remember their opponents. I could. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. So, oh yeah, so you'll be probably playing the North this year, right? Like Baltimore, Cincinnati, right? I'm pretty
Uh,
sure.
we played
Or
the
like,
Vikings last season. I'm not too sure though.
yeah. So, I know I know you'll be playing one NFC West opponent, and then I'm blanking on. Oh yeah, so you'll probably be playing like Saints, Bucks, Falcons, Panthers. Because I remember in COVID, Chargers played like the Saints and Bucks, so you'll be getting them this year. The NFC South's notoriously weak, so that should get you all some wins. I think you have the AFC North too. Again, I could be wrong. I don't have the opponents list on me, but I know. But if you do play the AFC North, that does kind of neutralize it. But the AFC West, I mean, Raiders, Broncos, I think y'all can handle them at at the right level. So I'm thinking like it's a net positive for the opponents as of right now. So that's why I'm predicting 10-7. And with the 49ers, so you might be a little surprised by the prediction. I'm personally hard on my team, just like you're hard on your team. So I have them at 9-8 as of right now. And the reason why I have them at
Damn.
8 is because they gone through 3 playoff runs in a row. It's a lot. It takes a toll on your team. And the last time the 49ers made the Super Bowl, they were very injured. I know it was because of COVID and the regulations they had primarily, but they were still 6-10. They still competed most games, and they were in the playoff race until the final 2 weeks. So I do think that they'll have a record like that. I mean, I would say that's the floor. I'm thinking like worst case scenario. I'm planning for worst case scenario because Dre Greenlaw got hurt. They're going to have to find a way to replace him. They're going to be having a lot of rookies heading into the team this year. So there might be some time to integrate. And then, I mean, they're not getting any younger. I mean, Kittle might, his stats could go down a little bit. Armstead, like on defense, he's getting on the older side. I know Ayuk will go up. Ronnie Bell, late round pick last year, should go up. Jennings, they're going to bring him back. He'll continue to develop. So, and Trent Williams is definitely getting older. So I still think they're talented. I think they make the playoffs. You do not want to play them because they're battle tested. It just might be a little harder for them to navigate through the season than last year when they were really on a mission. And I don't know if they're going to be on a mission of that caliber this year. I think they will be. But I mean, they're already getting ready, putting in the work. I'm excited about that. But they got a really tough schedule. You got Kansas City. I think the NFC West, their division is going to get better. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit, they're all on the come up. They're playing them next year. You got Buffalo, Miami, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. It's a really tough schedule they have. So they're going to have a winning record. I'm sure they're going to exceed my expectations. And it is a week by week league, so things can change. Who knows? I'm probably going to predict them to win almost every week like I did last year. But right now, I just know the toll of such a tough loss after everything seeming to line up that could take a toll.
Yeah.
And it might not. Who knows? I mean, remember, Eagles started, I think, 10-1, and then they collapsed after that, but that was more because of coaching concerns. And they hired an unknown defensive coordinator in Nick Sorensen, although Brandon Staley will be brought in to help them out a little bit, help out with like the scheming strategy. So there's going to be a lot of adjustments going on and a lot of youth infusion. So they might struggle at first, like they do in most years, but I think they'll pick it up towards the end. They'll do what they have to do to make the playoffs, and they'll be ready from playoff time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And one thing about the 49ers is that I don't know if Christian McCaffrey can handle that load forever. You know, I think you guys really need it. Maybe you guys draft Blake Corum or something. I don't know. What do you think about Christian McCaffrey carrying that for another whole season? I don't know, man.
Save him for the playoffs, or save him for
Yeah.
a matchup where the other team's run defense is just simply not there. So, but I would say, yeah, I'm fine with getting another running back. I think I have that in my list of things I want them to get with their 11 or so draft picks. They do have good backups in Eli Mitchell, Jordan Mason. Kyle only trusts him so much. So I think if he gets one more running back that he can trust as Christian McCaffrey gets older, I think that's going to really help the team out. And I'm pretty sure he make the team because they sometimes carry 4 running backs on the team in addition to Kyle Juszczyk. So I could see that being the move also. And if they get Blake Corum, I'm happy too. So just a matter of can he fit the zone scheme that Shanny runs, and will there be a doghouse? Is there potential for a doghouse? Because he could bench players if they're not tough enough. So, but yeah, I agree. Get more running backs to take a load off Christian. They've earned my trust over there. And I know I'll be very confident in their draft by the end of it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if I was to predict the Chargers and the 49ers 2024 season, I would put the Chargers at 9-8 just because I don't know. There's a lot of change going on with the Chargers. A lot of this roster is just not good as it stands right now. So many question marks all over the roster. Obviously, we got Justin Herbert. So, you know, the ceiling might be higher. Maybe we win 11 games or something like that. I think it's possible. But without a solid fundamental, solid base, it's just really hard. It's incredibly hard. Football is a very hard game, obviously. So I put the Chargers at 9-8 in the first season of Jim Harbaugh. Hopefully they make good moves to help us. You know, we were 5-12, so 9-8 would be a big jump. You know, I could see him doing better. Yes, I'll say 9-8 for the Chargers in 2024. For the 49ers, you know better than me, but I would say about 11 wins. I could see them doing 11 wins if they hold that solid together, that physicality, and they're battle tested, like you said. I totally agree. I could see them going maybe back to the Super Bowl. Who knows? I mean, someone's gonna have to beat them. 49ers are just gritty. They're tough. They're really hard to beat, and they just win. Unfortunately, they couldn't win the last game against the only team that knows how to win better than them, which is the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, which sucks because for the Chargers also win their division. The Chiefs are just the best right now. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
But any team can win on any given Sunday, so just gotta hope that on that important Sunday, it's your day. So yeah, that's what I got for now. You got anything else you want to wrap up with?
So in addition to my 49er hat, I know we talked Michigan. So I mentioned this is a Jim Harbaugh Michigan jersey from when he was quarterback in the early 80s. So I've had this jersey since I believe around 2018. So I've been a fan even before they were consistent CFP playoff teams, and it means a lot to my family. So just wanted to mention that. And also just regarding the 49ers Super Bowl loss, just to provide perspective, depth matters because Talanoa Hufanga got hurt at safety. Jair Brown came in, got picked in the Super Bowl. We didn't notice a drop off there. But Ambry Thomas struggled at cornerback. They had to pick up a veteran off the street. Thankfully, that wasn't as much of an issue, but Greenlaw going down, linebackers weren't ready, didn't have enough depth there. And O-line wise, they lost their right guard. Their backup came in, and Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, the Chiefs, was able to blitz enough to where Brock lost track. So depth matters. Like roster spot 1 to roster spot 53. Every single spot is crucial in deciding any game. So I can attest to that.
Absolutely.
It still stings, but it's the truth.
Yep. No, absolutely. I literally could not agree more. So many times I think people want to just boil down how good a roster is to the quarterback, the running back, the receivers, the maybe couple offensive linemen, and the big names. But it's so much about the backups, the guys, the competition in every position group. Who's pushing to take someone's job, and how good is iron sharpens iron. Every single position matters. Your slot corner matters. Your safety matters. Your linebackers, D end, freaking left guard, right guard, everything matters. And if you neglect anything, you neglect a certain position group, if you neglect depth at any level, it's going to bite you in the ass. And that's exactly what has happened with the Chargers. No depth, not much competition, just relying on few big names to carry this franchise under Tom Telesco. Absolute garbage way to run a team. Good riddance, Tom Telesco. Hope I see that guy at Safeway bagging my groceries someday, because that's where I think he belongs. But yeah, that's all I got. So, all right. Well, thank you, Josh. Sharks Josh 95 on Twitter. I'm not sure if you do YouTube or anything like that, but I think you should, bro. You are obviously incredibly knowledgeable, and I always love having you on.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yep, I do have a YouTube channel. I think it's Josh A, just literally the A after my name. And you're not the first person to mention that I should start something on YouTube. And I mean, that could be a goal I work on this upcoming year. So I enjoy doing this with you as always, and I'm glad we could collab again.
Yeah, definitely. And hope to have you on again soon. And I'm gonna fix my internet because I know this has been a problem for a long time. Sorry to let everyone down on this stuff, but I'm gonna get it fixed. But yeah, all right. Happy Monday. Thanks, Josh. Cheers to everybody. I appreciate it. Bolt up, and yeah, go 49ers too as well.
Go California.
We can agree on that. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good one.
Yep.